Hello and welcome. If you're here, you probably know just how much migraine can take over your life. So think of this as a friendly guide, a place for us to start understanding this condition together, and, most importantly, start taking back some of that control.
First thing I want you to know, you are so far from alone in this. In the US alone, about 39 million people are going through this right alongside you. That's a huge community, and it's a powerful reminder that whatever you're feeling, you're definitely not the only one.
So, what are we really talking about when we say migraine? Let's be clear, it's not just the bad headache. It is a chronic neurological condition, and managing it is absolutely a journey. Today, we're going to walk that path together. First, we'll get a real handle on what a migraine is. Then we'll put on our detective hats to find your triggers. After that, we'll talk about building your daily defense, and finally, we'll cover when it's time to call for some backup. Sound good? Let's get into it.
Okay, before we can even think about managing migraine, we have to truly understand it. Knowing what's going on inside your body and how that actually shows up in your day-to-day life, well, that's the foundation for everything else we're going to cover.
You know, the symptoms go way beyond a headache. We're talking about this intense, throbbing pain that can come with a whole host of other challenges. That sensitivity to light, it can make a regular room feel like you're staring into the sun. And sensitivity to sound can turn a normal conversation into a painful roar. Even a simple smell like someone's perfume can feel totally overwhelming. It's a full-body experience, for sure.
Now, migraine also shows up in different patterns for different people. If you're having fewer than 15 headache days a month, doctors usually call that episodic. But if it's 15 or more days, you might be dealing with chronic migraine. Figuring out where you land on this spectrum is a really crucial piece of the puzzle, especially when you talk to your doctor about a game plan.
I like to think of it this way. The tendency for migraine is kind of like a puddle of gasoline. It's just sitting there, but it needs a matchstick to actually ignite. Those matchsticks, those are your triggers. And becoming a detective to figure out your specific triggers is probably one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. And the biggest matchstick of them all, the one that gets thrown more than any other, it's stress. Yep, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental. Studies show that stress is the culprit behind a whopping 70% of migraine attacks. It is, by far, the most common trigger out there. Your diet can be another huge source of triggers. For some people, it might be specific foods, things like red wine, aged cheeses, or even chocolate. But honestly, a lot of the time, it's less about what you're eating and more about when. Just skipping a meal or not drinking enough water can cause your blood sugar to dip. And those are really powerful, common triggers. When we're talking about food and migraine, consistency is absolutely everything.
And of course, our surroundings in our daily habits play a massive role. I mean, think about it. A messed up sleep schedule is a major one, but so are things you run into every single day. Bright flashing lights, loud noises, strong perfumes, even a big shift in the weather. And let's not forget the big one in our modern world, spending hours and hours in front of a screen. That's become a huge trigger for so many people.
All right, so we've spent some time identifying the problems. Now, let's switch gears and talk about solutions. Building a proactive defense with simple daily habits is your first and, honestly, your most powerful line of defense against migraine attacks.
So how do we build this defense? It really starts with routine, because your brain and body love predictability. It pretty much boils down to 4 key things. Try to keep a regular sleep schedule, and even on the weekends. Eat your meals at consistent times to keep your blood sugar from crashing. Drink plenty of water all day long, and last but not least, find a healthy way to manage that number 1 trigger we talked about, stress. I promise you, these simple habits can make a dramatic difference.
Managing your lifestyle is huge. It really is. But it's not the only tool in your toolbox. Sometimes you got to call for backup. And seeking professional medical help is not a sign that you failed. It's actually a super smart and necessary step in creating a complete management plan. But this is the question so many of us struggle with, right? You're trying your best with all the lifestyle changes, but it's still a battle. So how do you know when it's really time to take that next step and go see a doctor or even a specialist? Well, here are some really clear signs. If your attacks are happening all the time, or they're so severe that they just knock you out, it's time. If the pain relievers you can buy at the store just aren't cutting it anymore, a doctor can help. They can also talk to you about preventive treatments, medicines designed to stop attacks before they even begin. But here's the bottom line. If migraine is getting in the way of your work, your family, your happiness, that is your signal to get expert help.
At the end of the day, knowledge really is your greatest weapon. By understanding what migraine is, learning what your personal triggers are, and knowing what steps you can take,
Both on your own and with a doctor's help, you put yourself back in the driver's seat. Your journey to managing this starts right now, and you absolutely have the power to decide what that next step is going to be.